So happy you could join us once again. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, Beer Director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group includes, among other places, Rustico, 2 locations in Ballston and Alexandria. Thanks for your time, as always. What's on tap this week?
So this week I figured we should taste something from Maine Beer Company because we just launched them in D.C. I guess it was last week at this point. And they make wonderful beers. Now, these guys have only been around since 2009. They are in Portland, Maine. You know, probably more famous for Allagash Brewing Company, of course, which we've had for a long time. Allagash producing great Belgian-style beers, of course. Maine Beer Company is kind of a cult brewery that I've been following for a very long time, to the point where I've been kind of traveling to Philly, which is where, you know, you couldn't really find it many places outside of New England and Philly until now that we have it in D.C. I used to run up to Philly just to grab it. That's how much I liked it.
And one of the things, beer stalker.
Yeah, exactly. Because Philly does get some beers that we don't get down here, like Russian River. Yeah. And Maine once was like that. So one of the things I loved about Maine Beer Company right from the start is that they don't make crazy, wild, weird beers. They don't make sours and they don't make 12% Imperial IPAs and stouts. They set out to make fresh, hoppy, balanced, delicious American craft beer and really haven't strayed from that at all. They just put their heads on and said, this is what we want to do. And they've been doing it since 2009. Brothers Dan and Dave Cleven started it up back in 2009, and if you look at their beers on the rating websites and any of the beers, it's just astounding the scores that these guys get for beers they're one of many of this style. For instance, we're drinking today this is a beer called Zoe. It is named after a daughter of theirs, Zoe, and it is a 7.2% hoppy amber ale. Most breweries in the United States have one of these, and yet this is one of the best you're ever going to taste.
Okay, yeah. I mean, amber ales, I don't want to knock amber ales. I mean, how do I say? I mean, it just, they tend to underwhelm me a bit. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my personal taste buds.
Well, I
don't want to knock the style.
Well, that's a good point, though.
It just came out.
No, but it's a good point because I think some of us have to remember that once upon a time, craft breweries, when they first started, they were kind of brewing to color. So when you went to a brew pub, many of which aren't even around anymore, back in the early 90s or mid 90s, everybody would have a blonde, an amber, and a brown. You know, because a lot of times people would come in, and I still see this at some of our restaurants. Like people, it makes sense. They're like, I like an amber, because what amber indicates a lot of times is right in between, not too light, because I want some flavor, but not too dark because I don't love Guinness or something like that. So amber's been that kind of style. But see, amber can mean a million different things. So many beers are amber in color stylistically, like Belgian-style doubles are sometimes ambers, but they taste nothing like a Vienna lager, which is amber in color, something like that. So it's kind of a misnomer. When I say amber, what I'm referring to is the hoppy American amber style, which is often seen in other great ones are Troegs Hopback Amber, a hoppier red ale. You have Red Rocket from Bear Republic, Founders Red's Rye PA. So these are the kind of beers in which to kind of categorize Zoe from Maine Beer Company.
Okay. Well, it smells good.
It smells
I'll give
great.
it that.
Good interplay of malt and hop in the nose.
No, I like that. I mean,
that's good.
That's different.
It's good, and it's hoppy, and it's cool.
Not real clear.
No, totally unfiltered. They do not filter any of their products. And what's great about this beer, what I love, is in the nose you get this kind of peppery spice and pine cone quality, resin and sap. Then you get a little bit of caramelization coming through from the malts that they use. They use some caramelized malt. They use even some chocolate malt in this beer. Some Munich malt for a kind of toasty note. As well, and even some Maris Otter from England, which is known for giving you this great biscuity quality in English ale. So it's a pretty complex malt base, and then it's just hit big time with some Pacific Northwest hops. Simcoe, grapefruit and pine quality. Centennial, like sweet fruit and floral. And then Columbus for that big dank green hop bitterness. And on the palate, it's cool because it kind of starts off malty, not sweet, but malty, bready. Then it gets real bitter, and then it kind of finishes with some more sweetness. So it comes in waves.
So what would you pair this with?
So I think that this would be great with all manner of things seared. when you're tasting it, you get that seared quality, this kind of toasted sweetness. It's not caramelly, it's not sugary. It's just got this quick like toasted quality. So I'm thinking particularly of like veggies that have been seared up, like seared asparagus and things like that. Because then you get this cool interplay of the toasted sweetness of the beer with the sear, but then the kind of herbal and earthy bitterness of the beer and the earthier tones of the asparagus itself.
To me, it seems like it would go great with chicken breast on the grill. Not overcooked, but you know when you kind of blacken the skin.
Just blacken a little bit, exactly. And then the beautiful thing with like the Cascade, I'm sorry, with the Simcoe, like, you know, very piney, and the Centennial, which is slightly fruity, and then the Columbus, which is really dank and earthy. You get this herbal quality that would play nicely with the chicken and its kind of grilled skin as well.
Before we go, and I'm many weeks late in mentioning this, but I traveled with the Nationals to St. Louis when they played the Cardinals, which, as we know, didn't end so well in Game 5 here. But I went to the granddaddy of the macros for a tour at Anheuser-Busch, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
It's funny because a lot of people, I think, are surprised when they ask me. They're like, hey, I'm going to St. Louis. What should I check out? And I always say, do not miss the Anheuser-Busch toury, the factory, the brewery, because it's legendary. It's amazing. It's just if you're interested in craft beer, that means you're interested in beer. You're interested in American beer and the history of beer, and this tells a great story about it. You know, I mean, also make sure that you get out to, Schlafly as well, of course, and taste. There's a huge new slew of St. Louis craft brewers out there that are amazing. Yeah. Not to mention others that are available from Missouri in St. Louis, but you definitely want to hit up Anheuser-Busch. You know, the thing is, last time I think I was talking about can't miss breweries in the country, and yes, Russian River, Alpine, Hill Farmstead, Lawson, Cigar City, and many more. But I would put Anheuser-Busch in St. Louis on that same level. And you know, the coolest thing about it is you got to think is that Anheuser-Busch did a lot of innovative craft things in many ways in the 19th century. They took a lot of gambles on unproven technology, unproven flavors, and things like that, and got to a position where they could dominate and become the macro brewer they are. But to get there, they had their own kind of craft ideology as well.
And there are parts of the brewery that date to the 19th century. I mean, and there's some beautiful chandeliers. I mean, it's almost like artwork in places. I mean, yeah, it's a big, sprawling place, but it's very cool on the tour. You can see the Clydesdales if you like that.
It's pretty cool.
It's free. That's a bonus, and you get a tasty cold drink of your choice at the end. It doesn't get any fresher than that. So, Greg, if you've got a question for Greg, the email is beeroftheweek@WTOP.com. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Everyone, please do always drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.